Hello, I'm Jane McGee Raffle, a member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I'm here today with candidates running for Representative to Congress, 10th District. The candidates are Amy Cox, Michael Harbaugh, and Mike Turner. Mr. Turner is unable to join us today due to a prior commitment. We will start our interviews by giving the candidates 1 minute to tell us about themselves and why they want to serve as a representative to Congress, 10th District. Ms. Cox?
Hi, my name is Amy Cox, and I'm running for Congress here in the 10th District. I grew up working class here in the Miami Valley. My family's been from the Miami Valley for several generations. At this point in time, I spent 15 years in public schools, and that has given me the ability to see what policy does to families on the faces of their children. And just with that experience alone, I can certainly tell you what real working people go through and what needs to change in policy in order to support our families and working folks, and retired folks for that matter, in this area specifically.
Thank you. Mr. Harbaugh.
Hi, everybody. It's not a surprise that Mike Turner has a prior commitment. That's actually a reason why I'm running for office. It's because for the last 20 years, Mike Turner has had prior commitments all the time. He doesn't do any town halls. He doesn't do any debates. He doesn't answer your questions. He thinks he deserves your vote rather than has to earn it. I'm a food truck owner. I'm a normal, everyday person running for office. I feel that we need normal, everyday working class people to run for office. We need to get up off the sidelines and take our political system back from these political elites that are running it into the ground. The Republican and the Democratic parties are bought and sold. Their approval ratings are at an all-time low. So I collected over 4,000 signatures just to get my name on the ballot. And I'm trying to show through a lot of hard work and determination that a lot of everyday people can run for office. So those are a few reasons why I'm running.
Thank you. I'm going to ask each candidate the same question. You will have 2 minutes to answer the question, and then I will move on to the next candidate and give them 2 minutes to respond to the question. Ms. Cox, what are your top priorities and how will you address them?
Well, my top priorities are working class issues. It is access to health care, quality health care. It is making sure that our public schools are fully funded and give those communities the resources that they need. It is also good wage jobs. I think that as long as people have what they need, they can certainly live the American dream and not live to work instead of work to live. Housing is also a passion of mine. As a teacher, I saw lots of kids that were homeless. They weren't like necessarily living on the streets, but they were living in other people's homes. And to me, you can't fully realize yourself unless you have those basic human needs. And those are my priorities as your representative in Congress. And I will certainly work hard to make sure that any policy that we can come together with will certainly be pushed through the House. And it's time to make the working people of this country a priority again.
Thank you. Mr. Harbaugh, what are your top priorities and how will you address them?
My top 3 priorities are ending forever wars, bringing a high-speed rail network, to the United States, and how about to feed our kids some healthy school lunches. For my first priority to end all these forever wars, 9/11 happened when I was a sophomore in high school. Ever since that day, I don't even recognize the country that we live in. We've squandered and taken all of the wealth and the trillions of dollars that could have been used here for domestic spending to make our schools better, make our hospitals better, make our infrastructure better. Instead, we've been using it to bomb and to kill people all over the world. We can have peace through development. We can get along with the rest of the world. We don't have to kill them and siphon all of our money into the corrupt military contractors. Secondly, high-speed rail development. We don't have any high-speed rail here in the United States. China is kicking our ass and has high-speed rail all over their entire country. There's no reason why we can't have high-speed rail here. So it's about priorities of spending. Working class people, we're getting the shaft. All of our money is being taken from us and siphoned off to offshore bank accounts by the rich and the powerful and the well-connected in money and politics, and we're getting screwed. I hope to be a voice to speak out for that. And lastly, feeding kids healthy school lunches. Kids are getting fed Cinnabons when they go to school. In Japan, they have a school lunch program where they feed from scratch all their children school lunches with 15 to 25 ingredients in it with a rotating menu for kids. So what this does over the course of their lifetime is it adapts their taste buds, and it's a whole immersive health and nutritional education. This could save us on healthcare costs. This could save us in a variety of ways. It would help kids learn better. So I think a lot of reforms in our education system, as well as feeding kids healthy school lunches, is something I would support. So that right there is a couple of the top 3 priorities.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Harbaugh, state your position on immigration policy.
I kind of want my country back. And what I mean by that is that, this is a melting pot. This country was formed off of immigrants. We are an immigrant community. We don't need to demonize people being here. Given that, though, there is an enormous strain going on right now with the mass influx of immigrants in our country right now. Our federal government and the rich and the powerful, they're making local communities like in Springfield, Chicago, border towns, they're throwing up their hands. They're not giving them any support at all. We need funding resources to help with the influx of immigrants, in the schools, the social services, housing and stuff like that. The rich and the powerful have been profiting off of migrant labor and illegal immigration for a long time. It drives down wages. Migrants are more likely to not form a union. That helps the rich and the powerful. So they really like the rich and the powerful in this country. They love having mass influx of immigrants in this country. They don't have to pay their domestic workers as much, and it also decreases unions. It also creates a lot of turmoil. I think with what's been going on out in Springfield right now and all the focus on that, I think the real story is it shows how badly the working class in this country are hurting. When you have people that are coming here to the country and they're receiving SNAP benefits and relocation fees and monthly payments, while our own residents can't find a good job, they don't have adequate housing, and they're getting priced out by their landlords, they're not receiving any benefits. It creates division. So our government needs to take care of our people better. I'm for the government getting involved in housing and providing more affordable housing. We need a government jobs program so all these migrants aren't taking all of our jobs. And so I think it really speaks to the depravity that our leaders have been making us suffer through.
Thank you. Ms. Cox, state your position on immigration, please.
Immigration is something that is just a fact of life. Obviously, we are a nation of immigrants, and we need immigration for certain jobs. Just ask farmers in this area and manufacturing plants in this area, and you can look to Springfield as an example of how immigration has helped build that community back up. There is a lack of resources at the local level and state and national level, but that is the responsibility of the representatives that represent that area. This did not happen overnight. This has been happening in Springfield specifically since around 2017. So again, we definitely need to invest there. Public transportation would be a great fix for the issues with driving. Anyone would have an issue with driving. We have Americans that don't want to drive and own cars and deal with that, let alone people that have a language barrier to that. And what's going on in Springfield needs to be addressed by Mr. Mike Turner, the representative in this area. He is the next in line. You know, obviously you have Trump saying the most heinous things. He knows they're not true, but he doesn't care. That is his way of getting out the vote to his base. Vance, our senator, just a follower. He's not a leader. And I don't, he's just doubling down on the whole thing. So next in line is Mike Turner, and that is his area. So I'd like to hear from him on that violence. We had immigration reform in the Senate, and if you recall, the House leadership killed that bill, and Mike Turner was part of that. So again, we won't get immigration, fully funded immigration reform until we have a new House of Representatives, and I'll be happy to push that through when I'm elected.
Thank you. Ms. Cox, state your position on foreign policy and national resource management.
Natural resource management. Well, let's talk about our natural resource as far as agriculture specifically. We used to have grain markets open to other areas of the world, and Trump's tariffs put a big damper on that. Part of our national security is our ability to grow our own food and export that food. So in that regard, I would like to definitely make sure that within the Farm Bill and in national security issues that we address agriculture in this area and across the country, obviously. Other natural resources, we are exporters of natural gas, and since Russia is also an exporter of natural gas, I think that it's in our best interest to be able to compete with that for our own security in that regard. So I think that exports are important for our national security, but we also need to be able to take care of ourselves and make sure that we can grow food here effectively, but also that our farmers can stay employed using those export markets.
Thank you. Mr. Harbaugh, state your position on foreign policy and national resource management.
I think these deserve to be two questions, but I'll try to give about 1 minute each. Natural resources, I think we need to support local and domestic regional food supply and support local and small farmers, subsidize small farmers. They're getting crushed by big ag. We need to break up the big ag monopoly that's going on and crushing our small farmers and decimating our communities. Use some antitrust laws, break them up. They're manipulating the market and putting us small people out of business. Natural resources, gosh, we're the world's biggest exporter of oil, but yet we're paying $4 a gallon for gas. Does anyone see a problem with that? I do. We're getting fleeced. They're taking the oil out of our ground and selling it overseas. That needs to stop. We need to subsidize for the cost of everyday Americans to get gas and propane and all of our natural resource costs down, instead of the rich and the powerful price gouging us and taking all the profits and sending our natural resources and our minerals overseas. If we're the biggest producer, we should be seeing lower prices, and we're not, due to crony capitalism. Foreign policy, 50 seconds. Okay, Israel and Netanyahu is a war criminal. We need to cease to desist all funding to the state of Israel until they end the military occupation of Palestine. 100% full stop. I think with this recent terrorist attack by the Israeli government on unsuspecting Lebanese citizens with pagers exploding, that has never been done before. We need to call out the aggressiveness of the Israeli government. We also need to cease and desist all funding for the Ukraine war. President Zelensky has destroyed his entire country. He bet the entire farm on the United States backing him against his war with Russia. And what we're seeing is that Zelensky is on the verge of defeat. His country is destroyed. He's lost hundreds of thousands of lives, and he's about to retire to a villa in Miami or Spain somewhere and leave his country, is what I predict.
Thank you. In closing, we would like to provide each candidate with a minute for a closing statement. Ms. Cox?
Thank you so much for having us on here. Again, I am part of the working middle class. I don't know anything but the working middle class. Our issues are important. We've been ignored for far too long, pretty much since I was a child. This country is great for the working class, but we are not number one at this point in time. Again, access to healthcare, schools, infrastructure, all of it in that regard. Anything that helps make our lives a little more enjoyable, if we can even find that at this point in time, with all the ruckus going on. I know that political years are difficult, but I do urge everyone to research your candidates up and down the ballot. Make sure that your friends and family are registered to vote and have a plan to vote on Election Day. And do not ignore the Supreme Court seats in this state alone. and because we can't vote for Supreme Court people at the national level.
Thank
so
you.
Your state is important.
Thank you. Mr. Harbaugh, please give us your closing in a minute.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. Long story short is everybody knows that our country is failing. We are an empire that is in decline, and we're almost a failed state. We are overextended overseas right now with our vast military empire, over 800 military bases all across. And right now, the rich and the powerful are siphoning off all of our natural resources, siphoning off all the wealth of this country. Our $35 trillion in national debt is going to bankers, it's going to China. We're being ripped off, folks. And if you don't have political leaders that are willing to tell you it like it is, then they're not working for you. They're working for the rich and the powerful and the lobbyists that are controlling it. We need independent, grassroots candidates that are standing on issues, not hiding, not being puppets behind the scenes and being controlled, which is the state of the American politics today. I hope to get your vote here on November 5th and all the month long beforehand. Please follow my campaign for tons of activism and see what I'm doing in the community to try to get up off the sidelines and make my world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for your participation today, and best wishes and good luck on your campaigns. The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate our voting public and to strengthen our elective process. The annual Voters Guide will be distributed on the second week of October in the Dayton Daily News, the AIM Media suburban newspapers, and at local libraries, schools, and businesses. Early voting for upcoming election begins on October 8th at your Board of Elections, or you can request an absentee ballot. However you vote, your opinion matters and makes our democracy work. Thank you very much.